I mean, it's just. Hey everyone, welcome to the Growth Chat by Mailmodo. I'm Mansi, your host for the evening. Today we have Ashwin Krishna with us. Ashwin is currently the Global Marketing Director at Tag.ai with 15 plus years of experience across various functions in B2B and SaaS marketing. He's also been named the most influential tech marketer by Economic Times. Hey Ashwin, welcome to the Growth Chat. We're really glad to have you with us today. It's really an honor to have you in the Growth Chat.
Hey Mansi, hopefully you can hear me.
Yes, I can hear you.
Hey, thank you so much for the opportunity. It's always fun to really engage with the community. For me, it's also learning, right? I think who are there in the audience. Also, we can make it a note. So let's say we're talking about a topic. If somebody has a point of view, please drop in a comment, right? So that everyone can learn. So always look forward for such opportunities to not just talk, but also sort of learn from the community.
Yes, definitely. We are also, I'm sure we're going to learn and take away a lot of things from this event and from you. Yes, anybody whoever has any questions, you can just drop in comments, and Ashwin and I will take it up towards the end of the event. Great. So let's get started. Ashwin, I have read that you come from the beautiful valleys of Chikmagalur and you started your career as a programmer. So how did you figure that marketing, especially marketing for SaaS, was your calling? When people didn't even know about SaaS, and they rather we got like softwares and CDs, as you've also mentioned on your LinkedIn profile. So, how did you get into marketing and SaaS?
Yeah, sure. Suddenly, um, I think some of the folks back in 2012, 13, they did ask us because we were selling e-com software hosted on cloud. Primary challenge was to go through the CIO, CTO who used to say, "Hey, I want the IP, I want the software IP, right? I don't know what is this cloud all about." So I wanted on a CD actually. There are folks who actually said that. Thankfully, nobody. I don't think I've heard concerns around cloud and all of that of late. I think especially in the last few years. Yeah, sure. So going back to Chikmagalur, I think yeah, it's been a blessing. It's been a blessing to sort of really have your childhood in a small town, especially place like Chikmagalur, which is a cradle of coffee, lots of greenery. You have those memorable rainy days. Imagine sipping a coffee, in this beautiful valley, beautiful greenery, filled with forests and coffee plants. Yeah, it's been a blessing, right? Because small town always has a lot of benefits. You always have a lot of, time and space to sort of hang around with friends. But on the flip side, it's a laid back town. It's a laid back town. So what it means is the access to opportunities, right? The access to opportunities was just not there. Like for example, we were not aware about IIT, so we were forced to sort of give our state entrance and sort of really, I gave my state entrance and sort of got through that, pretty good rank. So followed the herd, got into engineering while I wanted to be. I was very passionate about medicine. Also got a seat in for bachelor's in medicine, right? But unfortunately couldn't continue that. But yeah, followed the herd again after engineering uh, by as a programmer. But trust me, in 3 months, I think I got myself burnt. I took whole night to fix an issue which where people said, "Hey, you can do it in 5 minutes." And broke releases. I got big pats from my manager, and I think it was a hell actually. It was a hell for me. I think I was waiting for weekends. I was waiting for weekends so that I was very active in this entrepreneurial circles, and then also started serendipity. I would say started volunteering for a school. Uh, that was a tipping point in life. I would say. I think a new Ashwin has born. I think after that because there was no point in time where I had the freedom to really explore myself. That's where I found the creative side of myself, right? Where I did some fundraisers. We did a huge fundraising event. We raised, I think, 10, 15 lakhs. I think 15 years back, it was a big deal. So that tipping point, that opportunity really, that serendipity, I would say, right? I think one sort of to summarize the learning for everyone is to really explore yourself, right? I think it's just one life. It's okay. Let's say you quit a job, let's say take a break. Taking a break is very common, right? Thankfully, a lot of them are figuring out it's not a sin anymore, right? So in our school, there used to be folks from Germany who used to take 1 year break. We used to ask them, hey, isn't it difficult, you're just starting a career? They say that is a time to sort of explore and find the best of themselves, actually. Yeah, I think learning for possibly everyone would be to take a break or maybe do some side gigs, spend some time, do a lot of things, actually, right? If you haven't found out your calling, well, it's a very big thing to say. Yeah, try multiple things, and then over a period of time, you should listen to your heart, right? Then a lot of magic can happen.
Yeah, definitely, and that's really inspiring. Very inspiring story there, Ashwin. Like, I'm sure there's a lot to learn for us also from that. Yeah. Great. So, let's get started with this the email marketing and the whole growth hacking and how to growth hack emails for SaaS. So, as we know, email marketing for SaaS is as important as it is for any other business. So, we would love to hear some important insights or results that you have seen over the years working with SaaS companies, if you have anything to share about that.
Yeah, sure, absolutely. I think the starting point is you should look at email as not a channel, right? As a strategy, actually. Why? Because especially in B2B, even in B2C, right? No matter how many people uninstall their WhatsApp or uninstall their Facebook and Instagram and whatnot because of privacy issues, uh, people will not get out of their email channel, right? Because that's communication, it's basic communication, and it's like an oxygen, actually. Uh, so 1.5 billion people at work use email every day. Right? So what it means is potentially email is the most sustainable, possibly the humble channel which you can use to really growth hack your business, actually. Right? I am from a B2B SaaS background. I will talk my experience about it, but a lot can be sort of we can sort of draw parallels to B2C as well. Right. So I think the starting point is to really think email as a strategy, but not as a mere channel. So I will quickly share a couple of slides because I usually go all over the place, when I get excited. So I thought I'll sort of structure my thoughts, make it simple and structured. Can you see my screen, Mansi? Hello.
Yes, Ashwin, we can see,
Okay.
see your screen now. Yeah.
Sure. So as I said, a lot can happen over email. So this is an AMP email. Again, if you don't know what AMP, you should definitely check that out. Because at SaaS, we talk about conversion rate, right? When you send an email, you push somebody to click on it, open it, click on a link, go to a website, do this, do ABCD, right? What if that whole friction can be removed, and then this whole AMP email helps you just do that, right? So this is an example of essentially filling a form happening within the email. Actually, a lot can happen over email. Really, a lot of things are happening around it. So I'll try and talk a bunch of things around AMP, then personalization, and so on and so forth. So this is an example, actually, and thanks to platforms like Mailmodo who has made this happen, who's got who sort of commoditized AMP emails. All right, including, right, so a lot can happen, including the CEO of SAP replying to a cold email. This is an example of this is a live example. Right? So Kyle Williams, you can go and check him out on LinkedIn. So he wrote this email to Bill McDermott, who is the CEO of SAP, just recently, I think 2 months back. So he was watching watching something on the television. It was a boxing match, and he spots Bill in just a couple of frames. I think because Bill has this very specific and spectacular way. Somehow Kyle was able to find that on the TV, and he writes an email, writes a cold email to Bill, just to, again, this is not about selling, right? I'm just showing an example that magic can happen if you send the right content at the right context in the right time. Even the CEO of SAP can also reply actually, right? So these folks are just exchanging some banter around a boxing match, and then right. So once somebody replies, then there is a connection established. Then you can do a lot more actually. So some of the best practices, right? So what has really worked for me, and then for the team over the course of time. Actually, the number one, and most of these are very simple ideas, simple thoughts. If you have this first principles as a framework. So number one is, don't write emails, boring emails, which people would just, shut off the system after they see the mail. Right? Write any email you write, just write it as if you're writing to a friend, your acquaintance. Right? It's no more B2B, right? It's no more business. It's human to human. A rep or a let's say a SDR writing to another human, just humanize it, right? Humanize it, have a very, very informal tone for your. I know a lot of the brands don't prefer informal tone, but really find that balance, right? But humanize your emails is really the number one learning for me actually. Typically, what would work, especially in cold emails, is cold emails are any email, right? Especially it is a non-newsletter email. Lesser the words, better it is actually. In fact, a lot of emails which has worked for me is less than 100 words, right? So 2 lines, a line or a 2 line for icebreaker, 1 line for problem, 1 line for solution, 1 line for social proof, and finally you have a call to action. That's about it. Don't try to boil the ocean through an email, right? So talk about industry trends. Most of your audience, they're smart, right? They know stuff actually. Rather, you be very, very focused and get to the point. Get to the point. Right? Cut the crap, get to the point, tell them what you do, etc. Actually, and then some amazing formats like AMP emails, which you can especially use in SaaS for multiple use cases, which is survey. All the time you collect data, you can use it for survey. You can use it for event registration. They don't have to, go to a form and fill the same damn 10 fields. Rather, they can just say yes within the AMP mail, right? So there are real people sending, gone are those days when you have those beautiful names sending emails actually. Some funny memories I can share. One of them was, we used to have this pseudonym called Kylie, and then a lot of the sales reps, a lot of the prospects used to ask to say, hey, where is Kylie in the meeting? Right? And then, of course, we used to say she's busy and whatnot. But that just doesn't work out because people, the moment they get an email, especially if it's a cold email, they go to LinkedIn, do a bit of research, all of that stuff, right? You should ensure real people are sending mails actually. Yeah, personalization is the game, right? Is the name of the game. Otherwise, it will just be thrown into at the first level. It will not be delivered to inbox. At a second level, the engagement rate would just go for a toss. I'll talk about it in a bit. So fundamentally, integrated stack, right? What it means is really have a CRM, your analytics stack, and your email system all integrated in one place, so that your reps have a single view, so that they can send better emails actually. And most importantly, collaboration between sales and marketing, right? It shouldn't happen. Your 20 sales reps writing 20 different versions of your story, but there has to be fundamentally, one core story or a narrative, which the marketing has to, let's say, upload it as a template. On top of that, sales reps can personalize, let's say, the introduction and the ending, maybe, right? And then maybe a couple of lines in between. So this whole idea of collaboration has to really go down to, the email content actually. Validate your emails, right? Because you'll be sending emails. It's an always-on campaign, so validate your emails with systems like Neverbound. So once in 4 weeks. Otherwise, if you just keep hammering campaigns, if somebody leaves the company, then it will become invalid ID actually. So use the subdomains for sending ID. Let's say your website domain is domain.com. Create a subdomain, let's say emails.yourwebsite.com, and send your cold emails actually. Of course, after warming up that subdomain, because having another domain for cold emails is it will create huge issue, because that mother domain or the master domain is just not warmed up, right? So rather, the master domain, your website.com, is warmed up. Having a subdomain, which the beauty of that is the delivery rates will be a lot higher compared to another fresh domain. And if people flag it as spam, it will not really impact your master domain actually. And this is the final thing, right? Sort of summarize importance of email in SaaS. So typically everyone would use emails till a customer is landed actually, right? Till all the way from awareness to customer getting landed. That's not the end, right? So email can also be used to essentially onboard, engage also in the expansion mode. So this is really the bow tie model, I think, which some of you folks would know. Yeah, this is the whole summary from my learning, Mansi. Hey, sorry, I can't hear you.
I'm sorry, I think I was muted. Yeah, that was quite insightful and informational, Ashwin. Yeah. So moving on, since you've also worked with both product and sales-led SaaS companies, what do you think are the major differences between the email strategies for both, or are there any differences between the both?
Yeah, sure. I think this is a very interesting question. Very interesting because some of the fundamentals are same. The first fundamental is about using that whole bow tie model and using email at the right time, and then using that stage as a context. It remains same for both actually, for both product led and sales led. There are multiple differences as well, right? I would possibly like to quote a couple of differences. One is in a sales led motion, the human touch, there's a lot of human touch, right? Because the moment somebody signs up, somebody will call and nurture, and sales reps will come in, the SDR will hand over it to sales, and sales will finally close it. There's a lot of human touch involved actually, right? While in product led, not just and then sales led, typically the usage of emails will end after a lead is created, right? So maybe may not even activation, actually just acquisition, it will stop, because as it is human touch focused, as there is a lot of human intervention. It's very difficult to have a 1:1 conversation after the sales rep will have a meeting actually, right? And because every conversation is different, so on and so forth. So typically email journeys will end there, and only after somebody lands as a customer, so email as a channel again gets kicked in, right? However, in product led, entire channel, entire funnel, all the way from acquisition to retention, it's all about emails, right? Because email is possibly one of the primary modes of communication apart from your product alone, right? We can send nudges, we can send, let's say if it's an app, we can do in-app notifications, some of that. The only other channel you have to reactivate and re-engage and do whatsoever is email actually. So the first difference is in product led, the entire funnel can be catalyzed by email, but in sales led, it's typically broken, right? So till the acquisition is done, it's email. So activation is not done using email. Typically, it can be done, but most of the folks don't do it. And then again, for retention, there's some sort of email activity happens. So that's the first primary difference actually. The second primary difference is because the entire funnel in product-led happens on the product. So essentially have structured data in one place, right? You have clickstream data, which can be really crunched by tools like, Mixpanel. It will help you sort of build those funnels, help you sort of build those RFM models, which can be used to send emails at various stages actually. Right? It's very systematic. It's also very scalable because data is at one place and full data actually, right? Full funnel data. But for sales side, again, it is human touch, and there are multiple systems in place, right? Especially in a sales-led motion, you have a CRM, then you have marketing automation system, you have the intent data provider, so on and so forth. And hence, bringing all of the data to give context for email to work out is a huge challenge actually, right? And hence, the scalability of email usage in a product-led motion is a lot better, and it's also wholesome. When we compare that to sales-led actually.
Right. That's I think that's fair point, and yeah, the human touch, especially the differentiating element, I would say too. Yeah. Since we are talking about the full funnel and the different stages of SaaS journey from acquisition to activation, retention, and revenue, the four major stages. Can you quickly share some proven strategies for each stage with examples? Uh, yeah, and probably also some performance metrics that you need to measure at these stages.
Yeah, sure. I think and a very simple framework for again email is really the marketing 101, right? Which is the right channel. Channel we already know, which is email. Right context, what context you're sending, what stage, etc. Who is that ICP, who is the persona, and all of that. Right content, of course, and the right time actually, right? So this is really the fundamental first principles framework which we should use across the funnel actually. I'll quickly share some examples. I'll also show a quick demo which might interest people actually. Right, so I'll just go back to the funnel. So Mans, just let me know if you can see my screen.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm just breaking down this, right? How can you use email across the funnel, right? So primarily one way to slice this whole problem is inbound and outbound, right? Because the journey for a inbound prospect is very different than for an outbound. An outbound for me is really that cold outreach which you do actually. So we'll try and sort of slice this. I'll quickly show some examples, like real examples which has worked. So for inbound, I think again slicing every different possible stage, right? So somebody just comes up and signs up, as an inquiry. Just imagine, this is the inquiry which somebody is doing actually, right? So the first email typically that you have to send is immediately, right, which is an automated email, is your thank you email, right? Thank you email is not just thank you for signing up, we'll get back to you. I'll just quickly show an example. How do you sort of growth hack that one specific simple email, right? And then after that, it's about based on the CRM stages. Till you get a sale, you really have to again, you don't have to sort of badger them like 15 times, 20 times. Just in a systematic way, right? Let's say T+1. Let's say within the first hour, as the SDR should send them a personalized meeting request email 1 actually, right? Maybe if they don't reply after T+1, which is the second day, send another email, which is the third mail actually. With a gap of let's say another 2 days, maybe email 3, and then finally T+7, or maybe sometimes we would experiment with T+15, which is the 15th day after they sign up, because sometimes they're on leave, sometimes they're taken off in between the planning meeting, some of that. So the most important point to really know is iterate and experiment for your category and for your persona, right? But the first couple of things are very, very important. Immediately send a mail when they sign up, not necessarily have to ask for a meeting, right? If they have downloaded a asset, maybe resend them the link maybe you can nurture them to the next stage, saying, hey, by the way, we have this another customer success story. Do you want to read? Something like that, right? And then fundamentally, really have this recency frequency model where you sort of iterate and figure out the sweet spot in terms of the time lag between the different emails actually. And then don't send more than 4 or 5 emails. 5 I think would be maximum, because on top of that you'll be making calls and stuff actually, right? So after we made this systematic change, I will also show you some examples. We were able to increase almost increase the MQL, that is marketing qualified lead to SQL conversion by from 18 to 33% actually. So this is an example. This is the first automated email example basically. So try and figure out what are the different elements you can personalize, because the more you personalize, again, better it is. But again, just try and think from a first principles point of view, right? So what are the things you can do basically, right? Number one is the subject line. Subject line, try and have the same message. Let's say, if somebody is clicking on a LinkedIn ad and they're signing up, so try and have the same message which you already have put up on the LinkedIn. Because most of the times, campaigns like LinkedIn, people would sign up, but they don't respond because they'll just forget, right? They'll just forget saying, what did they sign up? So to reiterate, what did they sign up? Try and sort of synthesize and have the same message. Over here, we're talking about 30% more revenue for the company name, right? Of course, company name, you typically will get this as a mandatory fit. So you can always customize that actually. Body is the same, right? Body is the same. You have the message, you have the company name. Also try and tell them, hey, where did you sign up from, right? So either on LinkedIn, did you sign up on Google, did you sign up on the website? So the opportunity that you have is to reiterate that they have signed up seriously, and we're genuinely concerned about helping them out actually, right? So again, this has a structure, right? We're talking about where did they essentially came up from, what is the problem that we can essentially solve, what is the social proof, and real quick action, right? So my colleague will get in touch with you in the next 30 minutes. Of course, this is business time, right? Not somebody, I don't think anybody would be active post business hours actually. Right? I'll quickly show an example. Yeah, so this is an example actually. Right? There's some amazing tools out there where you can personalize your first email actually. So I've written this for my own company just to show you an example. So we drive sales productivity for large pharmaceutical companies, right? So I entered into Walmart.ai. I gave just 2 things, right? What do we sell? We sell this pharma software which improves sales productivity. So if you want to send an email to Harshika, again, she's a brand leader for Sandoz in the US. If you just give her LinkedIn profile, or whoever's LinkedIn profile, so it will give you this Walmart.ai gives you this blurb actually, right? And this is based on the LinkedIn profile actually. And see the kind of personalization. It talks about, Harshika, you really are, it's amazing to hear that you have this full P&L responsibility for 3 major brands across this different therapeutic areas. Therapeutic areas are different health-related areas, right? And then you're talking about essentially what we can help you with, right? And we can do this at scale, this kind of personalization. And this is just one level of personalization, right? Where the intro blurb can be really customized actually. Yeah, this is a quick example. So that's the first email, right? Typically the first automated email which can go for your inbound lead actually. Just 1 second. Yeah, the follow-up email, just to kind of close up on inbound. The first email which the SDR sends, ensure they do a bit of research actually. There are tools like Walmart can truly help you to write that first introduction or that ice-breaking email actually. And this is for a fictitious company called Baby Store. They already have 25 stores. They have just opened this 25th store. So congratulating them, so on and so forth actually. And then this is a effort which your SDR has to put in, and then try and help them templatize some of these things, right? 2 lines about this, 2 lines about this. Send them the first 2 lines. You can have, this is the 5 different, 10 different examples that you can essentially do, right? The first email which your SDR typically has to write has to be personalized. The more it is, I'm not saying it is better, but it has to be contextual as well. Of course, you keep sending more automated emails after that. The one learning lesson out of this is to continuously add value, actually, right? Continuously add value for the prospect. Don't keep badgering them for meeting, actually, which they will only if they need, they will come back to you. But keep sending them relevant content, actually, right? If it is a sequence, if you're using a sales engagement platform like a 𝐭𝐮𝐨𝐝, you can sort of sequence this entire thing out, automate it, and for a specific audience, for a specific persona and industry, you can also have customized content, actually. So if you keep continuously adding value, and you can also build a conversation as well, right? Rather than just asking for a meeting, you can say, hey, how did you find the success story of Shopper Stop, which was sent in the previous email, right? This will also push them to go back and possibly open the previous email, actually. So you're trying to sort of have a conversation or trying to continuously add value. This is the 2 learning lessons I can say from the inbound perspective. So outbound, I think I will quickly see, this is like an orchestra, right? Especially if you're doing cold outreach. Email is a essential part of that. Again, this will take a lot of time to discuss, but I'll just skip this quickly. Very similar example, right? The first email which you send for your inbound, personalize it, personalize for the company, personalize for the individual, personalize for the persona and your home, actually. I think that's about it. So I think, finally, typically the 4th or the 5th email, either in inbound or outbound, and there are multiple experiments, we have done. And this is one of the experiments that really worked, right? The breakup email, as we call it. Just try and ask them, hey, we're trying to do an outreach. I know I'm sort of pestering you. Sorry if I have pestered you. If you're really, I'm genuinely interested to help you out. If you're still interested, so just write back to me, right? Just create that urgency, create that a bit of guilty, make them guilty, saying that they haven't responded, make them feel a bit bad, right? So this experiment has worked wonders, actually. The first email and the breakup email has netted us the maximum meetings.
Great. So we talked a lot about all these inbound and outbound strategies, and you shared amazing examples, Ashwin, with us at each level, how you can talk to them, what message to share, and subject lines and everything, and that was quite detailed, I feel. So I think we've come towards the end here, so I would love to pick up some questions that we have. Uh, Let me take this up here. The first one from Swati. It says, what is the good open rate and response rate for B2B SaaS that we can benchmark?
Yeah, sure. This is a question I think I was expecting. So depends on the tactic and depends on the stage, right? Again, having said that, that's a typical MBA answer, I would say. The difference is the typical MBA answer. But see, for a good outbound, right? So if you're setting up a cold outreach, which is outbound, a good open rate would be about 30%, 30 to 40%, which is a great average. Of course, if you hyper personalize it, you can easily get to 60, 70%. Like almost like send like 10 emails, 20 emails a day, right? Through account-based marketing, where you write 1:1. You will not use any system to do that. But when you use systems like sales engagement systems, where you send like 100 emails a day, the strategy which you should use to increase your open rate is don't send more than 150, 200 emails per email per rep, right? So a rep, let's say, has 1 email a day, don't send more than 150 to 200 emails. Because the fact is, even if you send like 10,000 emails, open rate would be, let's say, 5%, right? Versus you send 500 emails across, let's say, 3 reps, and you get like 30% open rate, which is far more better, right? End of the day, you want people to open, which is the engagement or which is a next best action you always want. So good open rate would be about 30% plus. Yeah, response rate is very tricky, right? It's very, very tricky. So typically, I will tell you, you send emails, this 4-touch, 5-touch emails for 100 contacts. If you get, let's say, 3 replies, 4 replies, which is very good, which is above average. Replies, I would say both positive and negative. If you get, let's say 5 or 6 replies, right? So out of which, if you convert 50% of them into a meeting, which is 3, so that's 3%, right? You send 100 emails for 100 contacts. So contact to meeting conversion rate, if it's 3%, it's very good average actually.
On that, I was also wondering, so with this change in the Apple privacy policy that has been going around right now, that a lot of people have been talking about how open rates have been affected, and so what do you think about that? And did you have anything to say on that aspect when it comes to a good open rate? How do you really define it? And yeah.
Yeah, sure. I think that's a great question. It's definitely great. And see, whatever is the landscape, however is the landscape changing, if you stick to your the basic best practices, right? Ensure the emails are validated. Ensure you send at least some personalization. Send it at the right time. Let's say if you're sending it to the US, send it, let's say at 2 p.m. local time. Things like that. And you don't send a lot, right? Send 100, 150 emails per day. Some of that. I think if you stick to this, I don't think there is an issue, right? Now, of course, if you continue to find an issue, then the only way out is to really figure out, micro personalize, right? Maybe don't send 150, try and send like 50 emails a day. And of course, we'll continuously focus on the quality of your IP, quality of your domain. So all of that actually. But if you stick to this basic best practices and really have this one mission of adding value to your users, by sending them relevant content, make it relevant, make it contextual, all of that. Like don't send them HTML mails, right? I think thankfully, HTML emails are almost, I think, except some big companies, I don't see them. Now, of course, you should experiment with formats like AMP, which has a different purpose for SaaS, right? Let's say it's bottom of the funnel. We can really use that to convert your MQL, let's say, contacted in progress to a meeting actually, because the entire meeting setup can happen within the AMP actually.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I think we've also seen a lot of good use cases throughout the journey for AMP, and I think they really kind of improve your engagement rate also. So you really don't have to rely on the open rate as such. So yeah. Another question we have from Nikita. I think it's a similar question to the previous one. Are there any SaaS industry-driven email open rate benchmarks, or do we define benchmarks as per data available within the org?
Yeah, absolutely. It's latter is true, right? You start with some hypothesis. Start with, let's say, hey, we're just starting. Let's get 15% as a benchmark. Continuously grow that, right? Continuously grow that. Beat your own, best benchmarks you got, and that's always fun, right? You get, let's say, you had 40%. If you get to 42% in the next campaign, that's amazing, right? Then the next target is to beat 42 actually. So I think the key is definitely to start with some industry, like something which is very close, but really ensure your team, especially your executive team or leadership team, is not really hooked on to that. Otherwise, they'll start asking, hey, the benchmark is 50, then why are we not getting 50, right? And hence, maybe you can keep it to your team. So start with a very realistic one, and then continuously, build your hypothesis. All the way from ensuring your IP and domain and other technical stuff, they're all sorted to response rate, right? It's not just about open, but also ensuring they're reading it and then they're also responding to it, taking an action.
Yeah, great. Next question from Prabjot. Prabjot Singh asks, how much should we spend on domain warming, or should we do domain warming? I mean, that's sort of, even I agree that we should. So what's your answer on this?
Yeah, sure. So the simple way to do domain warming is, as I said, you're essentially setting up a subdomain under your master domain. So create a bunch of email IDs and then send emails to your own. Yeah, the way we have done it is a bit different actually. We collected all the personal email IDs of employees. That's one. Second, we also sort of, especially in marketing team, it goes to any extent that they essentially get everyone. We collected about 5-10 email IDs of our friends who are working in companies, corporate email IDs. We send it to them. The first few weeks, I am not just send a random email. Right? So please open this mail and click on this link. But really, send them relevant content actually again. Let's say for internal emails, some of the marketing updates, we used to send it through this IDs, right? We used to introduce saying, hey, you'll be getting some of the emails, some of the marketing emails from this ID. And we used to send them some relevant updates saying, hey, we launched this campaign, this is some of the LinkedIn posts, which you can go and engage, so on and so forth. So which is multiple things using single stone actually. So your own employees, maybe personal IDs, get some of your friends. That's the most, that's the starting point, right? But there are also some tools where you can do domain warming. What it means is there are some community-based tools where you can send emails. They will open those emails, click on it. On the same line, so you also have to do that actually, right? So there are some tools which also does it in a programmatic way. One is community-based, other is also programmatic way actually. Yeah, some part of it is a bit tricky, it's a bit gray, so I don't want to talk about that, the programmatic side of it, because I still don't know when will email filters will start penalizing them, right? So the first idea which I said is the most safest one. Of course, there are community-based tools which you can use actually. The programmatic one, we can always try. I mean, there are certainly the tools like Numbly to does that. But I don't know, when, because the more and more such programmatic stuff happening, of course, the whole Gmail and Outlook inboxes also gets clever and clever, right?
Yeah, I think even I agree on that. That totally makes sense. I mean, we also sort of do that, and I think this whole thing is a completely different topic or an independent topic in itself to discuss for sure. It's a very deep topic for sure.
Right.
Let's take another question, a very interesting question from Anand. He's asking, does cold email outreach work in 2021 for B2B?
Yeah, absolutely, Aaron. I think I spoke about it. That's the first line I made. I think about 1.5 billion people in the workspace, right? People are working. They use email as a channel. So what it means is it's possibly the only channel you can use. Let's say LinkedIn changes their algorithm. Facebook will shut you off as a brand because I don't know, for various reasons, right? No matter your social, no matter your display campaign, a lot of things might come and go, but email I think would stay forever, right? Because of course there's Slack and a lot of folks. In fact, even in my company, I get almost zero emails in a week actually, because most of the conversation happens on our internal messenger actually, right? I think that might be one concern which a lot of everyone has. Fundamentally, email will not. I don't think anybody will say that, hey, we'll not get your email ID after you join the company, right? I will open my email. I have it open. I do click on most of the cold emails I get. So email will continue to work, not just for 21, maybe after a few decades as well. I don't know about metaverse and all of that, but what might happen, but definitely till businesses work and communication channels work, email would continue to stay.
Yeah, definitely. People might not open social media, but definitely email because yeah, that's gonna stay. Next question from Gayatri. What is the best approach to reach out to non-opt-in database?
There's no other way out is to just reach out in smaller segments, smaller batches. So one philosophy is don't send this unsolicited emails, right? But in the startup world, you would have an option because cold outreach is going to be around, and then will continue to be one of the primary growth levels actually. So non opt out. Okay, what you're saying is okay. So if they say okay, I don't want to hear you anymore, then what do you want to do with that, right? If that's the question, yeah, then possibly we might not think of another domain, right? Of course, you'll always have like another domain in the bay which is already warmed up, because unfortunately, if your email domain is the quality of the domain from positive, I think there are three levels. I think there are three levels for Google. I think there is negative, there's mediocre, and there's positive, right? I don't know the actual metrics they use, but if it falls down from positive to mediocre, you really have to start dialing down on the number of emails you're sending, right? And hence, for non-opt-out, you possibly have to use another domain or another channel actually.
Okay. Next question from Lawrence. Does open rates get affected depending on the type of content, text-based versus content or creative-based?
Yes, absolutely, right. This is one of the critical inputs for for email filters. So the best way to think about being successful in email is put yourself in the shoes of the email filters, right? Be it Outlook or Gmail. Just think about, okay, you are the email filter. Okay, what will you think, right? Which email will you pass and which email will you block? Yeah. So think yourself for a minute actually. So what is your objective as an email filter or a email software, right? You have to ensure you have to filter out all the spam. You have to ensure actual 1:1 emails land into inbox. The rest of them will go to promotion or go into other tab in Outlook, so on and so forth actually. So what it means is unless it's a newsletter which is opted in, typically sending a cold email which is wherein which you don't have a consent is going to be a bit of a trouble actually, right? At least based on my experiences, and we've actually done a lot of A/B testing around sending less than 150 word text email versus a HTML fancy creative email. There was there's certainly change in the open rates, etc. And having said that, completely depends on the context as well, right? Let's say you have a set of MQLs who are already hot. In order to convert them into a meeting, you can use an AMP based email, right? Where they can just open the email and set up the meeting then and there. Or there, the open rates will not get affected because in the realm of the email filter, your domain is already whitelisted actually, right? So mostly, your emails will land in inbox.
Great. I hope the question was answered for Lawrence too. Next, Ashwin, let's. Do you want to take all the questions here right now, or we should just pick a few since we are almost touching the time of the end of the show? If you want.
Yeah, another two, 3 questions should be good.
Okay, great. So I'll just pick some of
If
the
people can
questions.
stay for another 10 minutes, I'm good because this is the best part, right? And this is the best part. Even I also think and learn and also talk, right? Now, I might be wrong sometimes. I'll tell that if I don't know something, I will be open actually.
Great, great. That's really kind of you. Next question from Krishna, we'll take here. He's asking, can you recommend tools that you think are best for each stage? We're
Uh,
talking
Not
journey. Yeah,
sure of the stage. Is it the lead stage?
yeah. I think it's the whole email journey stage that he's talking about, the user journey.
Got it. Got it. So of course there is a base platform, right? Your CRM, your marketing automation, your intent data, all of that. It can get complex. I'll just keep it simple. Uh, so all of them like talking to each other and then having that single view is one of the key inputs for your email journey actually. And second is this single view of your customer integrated with your email orchestration platform, be it the campaign managers like a SendGrid or a sales engagement platform like SalesGear. Having a pipe which connects your single view of customer to your email orchestration system is important. Uh, and if you have that in place, I think fundamentally it's solved, right? Fundamentally, irrespective of the stage, let's say have an integration with, I'm talking about single view of customer, it means also having a view of CRM stages, right? So what it means is, if you know that this segment of this cohort of people are in MQL, then you can send a different email, and then somebody is in closure state, maybe you can just send them non-sales emails, let's say, just calling them for the next event and all of that, right? I think if you have this pipe, if you have this integrations in place, I think you possibly have to have like a really good tool like Mailmodo for sending AMP emails, or SalesGear for sales engagement email, or HubSpot for, let's say, if you want to send it in bulk, right, thousands of emails.
Great. Next, we'll take it up from Ayush. For educational emails, what are the best practices to ensure highest deliverability given that emails links?
Sure.
Thank you.
Yeah, this is a good question. This is definitely a good question. I think uh, so suddenly don't, especially when you're sending the sending this educational content or normal stuff, right? Especially sending like cold emails. So typically, in my past company, our email signature had 4 different links, right? So link to LinkedIn, link to website, and some article link, all of that, right? The problem is if you use same email signature within your cold email sequence, you're already done, right? You have bunch of links within your email body. You will have very less opportunity to send educational content links actually. So try and ensure your email signature or any other parts don't have HTML links, so that you can maximize send maybe not more than 2, right? I don't think you have to send more than 2. Then you're not trying to make a point, you're just trying to send too many things actually, right? So one way to do it is sort of aggregate. Let's say you want to what people call it as content hub. Content hub is very simple, right? If you want to, let's say, in the awareness stage, if you want people to consume a lot of content, let's say have a blog or have a customized web page where you can, have a guide message section. You can have a customer success video. Then you can also have a demo link actually. Right? So then all you have to do is just add that one web page link in the email. So if they're really interested after they land on the page, they will consume as much content as they want. They can really click on the guide link and they can, PDF link will open. Or if they're interested, they can directly click on the demo link. So setting up this content hubs will help you sort of organize your thought process and sort of maximize the exposure for people who are at different stages.
Right. Uh, from Roy, is it a good idea to add images and clips in the introductory mail or follow-up mails? I think, yeah, I think a lot of people have this question, and even I have
Sure.
seen a lot of people share videos or GIFs these days on their introductory emails. What do you think about it?
Yeah, sure, you can try. So follow-up emails, definitely yes. Now, of course, you can try things like GIFs, right? So again, if you're writing one-to-one email, uh, go ahead and try as many things as you can, right? Because you're sending a one-to-one email, or you're sending in small cohorts actually. So the bigger cohort size, I think, the more images and the more heavy your email is, it will just flag, it will just add red flags to your email filter. Again, there's no definite answer, right? I'm saying that an HTML email might not work. It just doesn't mean that it will not work in all the cases, right? Sometimes an email filters just allow a very heavy HTML cold email, and there is no right answer to that, right? But you just have to be, just be on a cautious note, thinking from a first principles point of view. If you're writing this one-to-one email, absolutely. You can use, there are tools where you can sort of send custom videos as well. Again, links which, the one they click will open, right? Of course, GIFs as well. In fact, we experimented with some GIFs as well. That definitely has got us some meetings actually, right? Where typically GIFs can be either used in either a light-hearted context, or can be used to show your product in a very quick, let's say 10 seconds, right? If you want to talk about a specific use case, a GIF can really be helpful. You don't have to write 5 lines. You just have to write 2 lines saying, hey, we essentially solve this use case in a most effective way. And here is this example.
Great. I think we'll just take last 1 or 2 more questions and then we'll
Sure.
close the chat. Next question from Malaika here. How many emails ideally should we send for nurturing leads who have downloaded some content?
Yeah, sure. So again, to think about it, another way to think about it is think from the audience point of view. Right? Let's say you have downloaded something. Okay, how many emails will you expect from a company A? Right? Of course, you will not expect a lot of emails. Otherwise, I'll just go and unsubscribe it, right? So typically for folks at the top of the funnel, ideally like a fortnightly email would work, or a monthly email, right? Monthly as a frequency, either fortnightly or a monthly as a frequency is an ideal time, and then ideally add a lot of value in each email actually, right? So I don't send them a mail telling them that, hey, we raised funding, great news, so on and so forth. Just think, why should they care about it, right? Why should they care you raise funding? Yeah, great that you raise funding, fine, but are you adding value to them? Again, sending them another resource which is related, or essentially inviting them for an event or a webinar. Some of those will really work actually, right? Even if it is less than fortnight or less than a month. Let's say you have already sent an email, you have an upcoming event next week, then you can send second email definitely in that fortnight, inviting them for an event, because it is adding value to them, right? Which is relevant even to them. So the answer would be, I think, I'll tell you the frequency. I think number of emails. What we typically used to do is we used to send 3 or 4 emails after they downloaded. That's for a 3-month time period, right? Then after that, we used to put them under nurture mode. What it means is after 3 months, we used to give a cooling off period of 3 months. After that, we used to reactivate them actually, right? And then over a period of time, we'll essentially have a bunch of folks whose engagement score based on recency frequency, folks who have a good RF score, you will of course take them to the next stage.
Yeah, great. I hope that was helpful for Malaika. Let's take the last question from Ujjwal here. What can we do if the cold emails go to the social or promotion section? This is a
Wow, this
really,
is another
yeah,
practical question which I think every email marketer will go through
yes.
actually.
Uh,
Again, this.
hmm.
So
I don't think,
again, Yeah, please
Sorry,
go ahead.
please. I was just saying that I don't see there's any problem. I mean, I know there's this perception that emails shouldn't go to promotions or social tab, and if I mean, I don't think there's any harm as such to if emails are going, as long as your probably subject lines are good. I mean, I'm sure there are a lot of arguments around it. You can share your opinion there, please.
Yeah, sure. So I think there are multiple things you can do, right? So one is all everyone who subscribes a newsletter, right? I'll tell you how this is interlinked. Whoever subscribes for newsletter, ask them to sort of so typically when they subscribe, you would might send an email saying thank you. Here are the top 5 blog posts. Some of that. Ask them to move it from promotions to if it is landed in a social promotions. Ask them to move it to inbox actually. Again, it's a nudge. Uh, Most of the people might not do it. It's fine. So more and more people doing it will increase the chances of your. Let's see, even if it's in a cold email. Again, there is no definite answer, but the chances of if a lot of folks subscribing to newsletter, moving their email from promotions or social to their inbox might increase the chances of your cold email reaching in the inbox, right? Because the score of the domain would typically, yeah, if you're using the same domain, of course. Otherwise, the usual thing I spoke to you, uh, I mean, there are times when we used to call people, our friends, and then some of the folks to request them to. We sent an email. Please check if it is on promotion. Move it to email, right? And I know this is not scalable. This is definitely not scalable, but there are programmatic ways to do it, as I told you, but that's definitely in gray area. So this couple of things might work. The first one is it might work if you're using the same domain for code. If you're using a different domain, then of course call up your friends. That's potentially one simple solution.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. That's a fair point. Uh, Great. I think we're almost done here. We do have some questions that we couldn't take up. Is there anything that you want to check and take up, Ashwin, or can we just close it?
No, I'm good. I think I definitely want to answer more. I think possibly, if this was the
Can
case,
we just- Yeah.
I think we would have maybe possibly done it as a AMA, right? Maybe just
Yes.
10 minutes of.
Yeah, everybody can probably share, connect with you on LinkedIn or share an email or, I mean, email you and ask whatever questions they have, probably, or we can just reply on the comments there. So, yeah. But yeah, I think we have answered most of the questions, and there were like really interesting questions here that we got from people. Um, Great. So thank you, Ashwin, for joining us. This was quite an amazing session we had. We got to learn a lot from you. I'm sure people also listening to this, watching this, also got to learn a lot. We'll also share a recording of this with everyone. So yeah, thanks everyone for joining the Growth Chat. Yeah, we'll see you the next time. Thanks, Ashwin.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thanks, Mansi, and then thank you for joining in. And yeah, let's keep the learning curve going up. And then I think usually the last thing which I say is just I think just get better 1% every day, right? I think this is one big, not big, very simple theory of compounding. If you get better 1% every day, I think end of 365th day, I think end of 1 year, I think you will be a whole new person. So I think the last 1 year has been a great opportunity because people used to travel like almost 2-3 hours in travel. They can rather use the same time to sort of learn, build, you know, share their knowledge, some of that stuff. Yeah, I think nevertheless, I think just get 1% better every day. I think you'll be a whole new person.
Yeah. That's a great takeaway. Thank you very much, Ashwin. Thanks a lot. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks everyone, and have a good night and a good day if you're in another time zone.
Yes.
Thank you, and bye bye.